Isn't it true that you were the first person to become physically violent with Travis and not the other way around?
No.
Open this door, bro, because this got me. Dominique, stop.
Who are you calling a bruh?
Anti-Afro Svengalis, deep trouble. I'm giving you an illustration of how people like to start shit and deny it. They're so used to starting shit, they don't realize what they're doing has been documented, if not verbally, on audio, video. They get so angry, they don't even remember that they're being captured. Just like here on YouTube, they're talking as if nobody's documenting what they're saying. But let me tell you this, trial of Travis Rudolph, who was acquitted of first-degree murder and 3 attempted murders after this ex-girlfriend got pissed because she said he was cheating, and she started a physical fight with him. He never hit her, but she wouldn't told her brother and his 3 friends that he threw her to the ground. And they come over there to the house at 2 o'clock in the morning? And one of them ended up dead because Travis Rudolph was determined to have a right to defend himself. But unfortunately, the officers and the investigators who have this case were hell-bent on just getting him convicted. But thank God they have the Ring camera. People, get Ring camera or any sort of audio-visual recording at your home. This essentially saved this brother from a life sentence. A life sentence. The trial was very compelling, and what you're going to see here is an introduction, and then you're going to see part 1 of the cross-examination of this lion-ass Heathen who tried to get this man killed, and if not killed, she was going to send him to prison for the rest of his life, and she got caught up in so many lies. Very, very shocking to see how people can sit there knowing good and damn well they started shit and try to put it on other people. We see that happening right here in these YouTube streets, in and around the Umar Johnson space. Liars, hell-bent on getting you held responsible for their bullshit. Again, this is part 1 of the testimony that I was able to extract. Well, actually, I didn't do it. Someone else did it for me because I don't know how to record 9 hours worth of audio, or video rather, and extract out the time. But I did make sure the sidebars were removed. Like they go up to the bench with the judge and they spend time talking. I removed that, and I think there might be one other part or maybe 2 other parts I'm going to post, but I want you to listen to this defense attorney expert in getting to the truth. It starts out with the prosecutor asking just a couple of questions. Then the defense attorney comes on and takes care of business. People, be sure you get ready for something very riveting. It's a cautionary tale. So never forget to heed the warning. Buyer beware.
His brother got into an argument with his then girlfriend, Dominique Jones, over another woman. Daryl said the fight got physical and Dominique grabbed a Patron bottle and hit Travis on the head. Daryl referred to the jury several times throughout his testimony, saying Travis never slammed her and that they were trying to get Dominique to leave, and remembers talking to Travis right after he and Dominique got into the fight.
Frustrated with him because he wouldn't listen. I told him plenty of times since Valentine's Day, hey, you see how this girl beating on you? She's being very destructive. Tearing up things in mom's house, and you ain't listen to me like you. I told him, he basically being stupid for keep bringing this girl over to mom's house, knowing that is causing chaos.
But you're not sure if that's the make or model.
Yeah, and he's always say something about like a drum. Like I know he had a drum for the AR-15, but not really educated in that aspect.
And do you know where Mr. Rudolph would keep the firearms in the residence?
He would keep his handgun in his underwear drawer, and then he would keep his AR-15 like in his closet.
Ms. Perlette, cross-examination.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When you met Travis Rudolph, you knew that he had been in the NFL, is that correct?
Correct.
You knew he played for the Giants, and then he played for the Dolphins, right?
Later on.
Right, but
not initially did I know that, no.
But at some point during your relationship, you knew that he had a very lucrative contract with the NFL, correct?
I knew nothing about his contract.
Okay. But you knew he played for the NFL, right?
Correct.
Okay. And at some point he became injured, right?
Correct.
And he was cut from playing with the NFL. He lost his contract, basically, right?
Correct.
Okay, and he would spend his days down in Miami rehabbing and training, right?
No, he would spend his days at home playing video games.
Okay, but so your testimony is that he never went down to Miami and was rehabbing his injury in order to play for the Canadian League that he had just landed a contract with?
That's not my testimony. You said what was...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Isn't it true that he was rehabbing his injury?
Sometimes.
Okay? And other times he was playing video games. That's your testimony.
Correct.
And isn't it true that he was also training down at the NFL facility down in Miami after he was injured?
I'm not sure what he would do in Miami.
That was a concern of yours, wasn't it? That he was off in Miami and you didn't know what he was doing, right?
Correct.
Okay. When you met Travis, he had a nice vehicle, a BMW truck. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And he was taking care of you basically financially when you guys were together, was he not?
He was not taking care of me financially at all during our entire relationship.
Okay. How old were you when you guys met?
23.
So in March of 2020, you were 23 years old?
March of 2020, yes, I was 23.
And you were living with your mom and stepdad and your brother at the time?
Correct.
That was in the apartment in Delray Beach?
Yes.
Spring Harbor Apartments?
Mhm.
Apartment, is that a yes?
Yes.
Apartment E?
Correct.
Is that a two-bedroom apartment?
No.
How many bedrooms?
3.
During that time, you didn't own your own home, right?
No, I didn't.
You were living in the home that your parents provided you with, right?
Correct.
You were living under their roof, right?
Correct.
You didn't own any property, any real estate, right?
No, but I was a realtor.
Okay, let's talk about that. You got your real estate license in February of 2020, right?
Correct.
So right around the time that you and Travis met.
Correct.
And then COVID hit, right?
Correct.
And let's see, you made one sale. It was a rental, right?
Yes.
So during the whole time that you had your real estate license,
I just got my real estate license in March, not to cut you off, sorry. But I just got my license in March and then COVID.
question,
Okay.
isn't it true that you were not making a living as a realtor? COVID hit. There was no sales going on. You weren't making a living as a realtor, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're living with your mom and dad. So you really weren't making a living as a real estate agent, right?
No, but I do have a mom and she's a medical assistant, so.
Okay. And you were living with your mom,
Correct.
right? And you also had some costly cosmetic surgery around that time, right?
I feel uncomfortable discussing that, so.
During the time you had cosmetic surgery, did you not?
I did have cosmetic surgery.
Okay. And it's your testimony that even though that you weren't making a living as a realtor, you were not relying on Travis for any financial help, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In fact, yesterday you testified, you told this jury that you never, he never financially supported you 1,000%, right?
Correct.
At that time, you were also sleeping over his house pretty much on a daily basis. That's what you told the jury yesterday?
Correct.
And it was during this time that you and Travis were dating that you were actually married to another man, Andre Chinsang. Is that correct?
Legally separated, but correct.
Well, you were still legally married, weren't you?
But people could be married and separated.
Okay.
So we were separated.
Right, but you weren't divorced, let me put it that way.
Correct.
Okay. So if you're not divorced, then you're still legally married. Is that correct?
I thought separated was a thing when it came to marriage. I thought you can either be married, separated, or divorced. But if you want to get technical, like very technical, yes, we were not divorced.
Okay. And while you were dating Travis for this year or so, year and a half, you never told him that you were married to another man, right?
No, I didn't.
And you testified yesterday that you and Travis had a conversation about marriage. Is that right? That's what you told this jury yesterday. That you and Travis, at some point, you had a conversation about marriage. You remember that?
I didn't necessarily say we had a conversation about marriage. We basically were discussing has that came up about a future, and I said things have came up that weren't that serious, but yeah, conversations were had.
About about marriage. That was your testimony.
Not specifically about marriage, just about a future between me and him, kids, things, etc., stuff like that.
Okay, so you're telling this jury today that you did not say yesterday on direct examination that you and Travis had a conversation about marriage. Is that what you're telling this jury?
No, we had a conversation about that. Yes, we did.
Okay. And you had a conversation with a man about marriage, and you're still married to Andre Chusang. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you lied to Travis. You misled him, did you not?
Travis never asked me if I was married.
So you have to be asked a question in order to get an answer, or to be told the truth? Is that what you're telling this jury?
I'm just telling the jury that the conversation about me being married never came up, so I never spoke on it because I felt like it was not my personal business to speak on.
All right, so what you're telling this jury is that unless somebody asks you a question, a specific question, you don't have to tell them the correct or honest answer. That's what you just told them.
I'm not telling you guys that. I'm telling you guys that in relationships, you have a past. It might not be clean. It might not be the best past that you have, but I decided to leave the past of my relationship behind me. When I started dating Travis, I felt like I didn't need to disclose that because it had nothing to do with what me and Travis had going on.
So you were talking about marriage and you're married. You never told him, right? Isn't it true you never told him?
I never, no, he answered.
Sustained. Next question,
You
please.
said that yesterday you told the jury that your relationship with Travis wasn't an open relationship. You remember that?
Correct.
Okay. So the implication or the understanding was that this was a relationship that was exclusive between the two of you?
Correct.
Okay. And Andre didn't fit in this at all?
Haven't spoken to him in 2 years.
You got divorced from him after Mr. Rudolph's arrest. Is that not correct?
Yes, because it was already in the plan before Travis got arrested.
You knew in April of 2021 that Travis had received a contract with the Canadian League and was leaving for Canada in the following month, in May. Did you not?
Yeah, I knew that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he got a contract to play football. He was excited about that. He was leaving for Canada in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he wasn't taking you along with him, was he?
I didn't ask to go. I had my own. I was a realtor. I was starting to get back into real estate.
Okay. During COVID when you weren't making any sales, right? He wasn't taking you with him, was he?
No.
He was leaving you. Right? He was leaving you. He was going off to Canada, and he was leaving you here in the States, right?
Yes.
Okay. He had no interest in taking you with him, right?
I don't know exactly.
Overruled. Go ahead, answer the question.
I don't know what Travis's intentions were of taking me.
Go with him?
He used to say things like that all the time, but that's hearsay. So I'm not going to say that.
Hold on. You're telling us, let me ask it this way. This man never planned on taking you with him to Canada. Isn't that true?
I don't know that for a fact.
Did he ever tell you he was taking you to Canada with him?
He would say things like that all the time. You can come visit me, things like that all the time.
Taking you with him. He had no intentions. Because his
I don't know that. So you're asking me a question and I'm responding to you. I do not know if he had intentions or not of taking me.
You didn't have a plane ticket to go with him, did you?
He didn't have one either. He didn't even have a passport.
Did you have a plane ticket to go with Mr. Rudolph to Canada?
He was not leaving until May, and no, I did not have a plane ticket. This all happened in April.
At the time of this incident, did you have any means of transport or a plane ticket, anything showing this jury that it was his intention that you were moving to Canada with him?
No.
And you knew in April, when you guys were dating, that it was his plan to just go work in Canada for a short period of time, and his hope was to get back into the NFL. Isn't that true?
I didn't know his ins and outs. I knew he had a contract with the CFL, and that's the most that I can say to you. That's all I really know.
Okay, so he never discussed with you his hope that he was going to come back to Florida and work again for the NFL? That was never a discussion?
He has said things like that, but I don't know exactly his intentions of what would have happened.
So he did say things like that. There was a discussion with you about that. You just
There,
said that.
there was a discussion.
Overruled.
Didn't you just say that you guys had a discussion about that?
Yeah, we had a discussion.
That's so hard?
It's not. I'm just trying to make sure I'm answering the questions to my best ability. That's it.
All you have to do is tell the truth, and it'll be...
I am telling the truth, but you're asking.
Question.
Thank you.
Okay. You were hoping that when he got the contract with the NFL, that you guys would then be married, like you told the jury you guys had discussed. And,
No.
and you would benefit by his millions of dollars that he was going to be making from the NFL.
First of all, I didn't even know how much money he was being offered.
Next question.
You guys had broken up in April 6th of that year, right? You were basically finished.
I wouldn't say that from the text messages that were shown yesterday.
Well, what about in your mind? Not about the text messages. Isn't it a fact that you guys were pretty much over?
I said I wanted a break, but you know how relationships are. Relationships are iffy. You might say you want to break one day. The next day you guys might be relationships are iffy. You might say you want to break one day. The next day you guys might be back together. So
Well, you told the jury yesterday that you hadn't seen each other for about a month. You remember that?
if you don't see someone, it doesn't mean that you're not with them.
Okay. Well, you weren't with each other during that month. You weren't having any
But we were still,
relations during that month,
but
right?
we were talking every day, FaceTiming every day. And some days when he would come back down, he would come pick me up and I would see him.
Correct. But you would agree that if you don't see somebody for a month, and prior to that, the implication is that you were seeing them before that, that the relationship has taken a change in course, has it not?
Because I had surgery.
So the only reason you stopped seeing each other for a month was because you had surgery.
Correct. I was at his house every day before I had surgery. And then when I had surgery, I was only able to move so much. And I wasn't really able to drive in a vehicle that much.
Even though you just said that sometimes he would come and pick you up, even though you told
I had to sit a certain way. I had to do things a certain way in order to go places. Yes.
even though you told the jury yesterday that he took care of you for a week, right? While you were recuperating, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yesterday you told the jury that you were concerned because he was in Miami so long and I didn't know where we stood. Remember telling the jury that?
Yes.
So you didn't know where your relationship was at. Isn't that correct?
I didn't know when it came to him being in Miami, but I knew that me and him still had a solid relationship because it was over a year.
Well, why did you say then, I was concerned that he was in Miami so long, I didn't know where we stood?
I didn't. That's why I was going on the movie date so I can figure out where we stood.
Because your relationship was basically over at that point. You didn't.
Nobody ever said the relationship was over. So to my knowledge, it was not over.
You now said, or what you told her yesterday, was that he was in Miami so long, to use your terms. So he was spending a lot of time in Miami, was he not?
He was spending time in Miami, yes.
He was spending more time in Miami than he was playing video games, wasn't he?
Kind of in the middle.
Okay. And you were jealous that he was down in Miami so long, right?
I'm not going to use the term jealous. No, I was not jealous. I wanted him to do well. I wanted him to go to the CFL. I knew that was his dream. So I wouldn't call that jealous at all.
Okay, so you knew then, now again, that after he went to Canada, his dream was to come back and his hope was to get a contract with the NFL, right?
I mean, usually that's what people decide. I'm not sure exactly what his decision was, but if you go off to the CFL, yes, that is something that you do try to pursue after.
Okay. You also told the jury yesterday that I felt uncertainty because I didn't see him for a month. You remember that?
Correct.
Okay. So you basically did not see him at all for a month, right?
In person, because I was healing, but I did see him through FaceTime, on the phone, through text, every other type of communication.
Why would you feel uncertainty if the relationship had changed course? Why did you care that he was down in Miami?
It's not that I cared, it's just that I just had surgery, so I kind of wanted comforting from him and him to be there a little bit more and things like that. So that's more of what it was.
Well, you had some concerns because the minute he stepped out of the house when DJ came home, you took it upon yourself to snoop through his phone, right?
I didn't snoop because he gave me the password, so I just want to clarify that.
Oh, hold on. He did not give you the password that day, right?
He gave it to me to let me know I can look through it whenever I wanted to.
Right, that he gave you that password months earlier on in the relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
that a yes?
Yes.
So this is not a situation where you guys are alone in his house. He says, hey, by the way, here's my password. Feel free to go into my phone. I'm going to go step outside. That didn't happen, right?
No.
Okay. So he walks out for a minute, and you could not resist to take his phone, his personal property, go in, put his password, and start snooping around, right?
Yes, because we were in a relationship and he gave me that password.
Okay. So have you snooped around in his phone on prior occasions with his password?
No, because I just had surgery, so I haven't seen him in a while.
Right. So you were snooping around because you were...
I wouldn't use the word snoop.
Overruled.
You were snooping around because you were concerned about him seeing other women down in Miami. Isn't that the bottom line?
The bottom line is he was my boyfriend at the time. I haven't seen him in a month, and I was curious. That's the bottom line.
Okay. You didn't want to lose him, right?
Of course not.
And when Travis said that he found Kyla's body more attractive than yours, you became infuriated, right?
No.
You didn't?
No.
You weren't upset that he found Kyla more attractive than you?
No.
When you saw the text from Kyla, you told the jury yesterday it was time for me to go. You remember that?
Correct.
Okay. And when you saw the text from Kyla, Travis was still outside, right? He was out with his brother. You were looking through his phone when he was outside.
Correct.
So you waited for Travis to come back into the house to confront him, did you not?
I more so didn't confront him. I just went into the room to grab my things.
So you didn't walk right out the door, did you?
I went to go grab my things, and he seen his phone on the couch, so he kind of put two and two together.
You waited for him to come back in so that you could confront him. Isn't that what's happening?
I didn't confront him. He kind of confronted me about the situation because he seen his phone was open.
You wanted to hurt him, and that's why you stayed in the house, so that you could confront him and then destroy his property, did you not?
No, I wanted to grab my things and I wanted to leave.
Okay. Well, you immediately went off on him, didn't you?
No.
Yesterday you told the jury I was hurt. I was not angry. You remember that?
Yes.
But you were actually very angry, were you not?
I was more so hurt than angry.
But you were also angry, weren't you?
I was more so hurt than angry.
Yesterday you told the jury that you told Travis 1,000,000 times, I want to leave, and he wouldn't let me go. You remember that?
Yes.
And isn't it in fact that he was the one that was actually trying to calm you down?
Not at the beginning, no.
At some point he was trying to calm you down, wasn't he?
No.
Isn't it true that he was trying to talk some sense into you?
No, I was trying to get my things and leave, and he was trying to stop me from leaving.
You also used the word that Travis was acting erratic yesterday. You remember that?
Correct.
Isn't it the fact that you were the one that was actually being erratic?
I would say he started it, and then, yes, I became erratic right after.
So after you saw the text messages from Kayla, you actually had Travis FaceTime her, did you not?
Yes.
Okay. Did you FaceTime her, or did you have Travis FaceTime her?
I just put the phone up and pressed FaceTime.
Okay.
So she didn't see me or anything.
And the reason you did that was so that she could only see Travis, and you could evaluate or watch the way that Travis was interacting with her. Did you not?
Correct.
Okay. And so what did you, after you saw that interaction, it was your impression that somehow these two had a relationship, right?
I wouldn't say relationship, but something was going on, yes.
It was more than a friendship, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And that infuriated you as well, right?
No, I'm not going to use the word infuriated.
You were angry?
More hurt.
Okay. So you smashed his iPhone not out of anger, but because you were hurt?
Yes.
Okay. You also picked up the metal trophy on his dresser, and you hit him over the head, did you not?
I did not hit him over the head.
So what did you do with the metal trophy?
If I hit him over the head with a metal trophy, would you...
What you did instead, not if...
I held the metal trophy up because he was standing in front of the door. I was asking him if I could leave. He said no. So I picked it up and I said, let me leave. And he ended up raising his hands up and he said, okay, you can go.
All right, so you never hit him with the trophy, you never threw the trophy at him? None?
Never.
Right?
Not at all.
Okay. You also took his PlayStation and broke it, did you not?
That was far. Are we going in chronological order or no?
I'm asking questions, you're answering them.
Okay.
The question was, regardless of the chronological order, at some point, you took his PlayStation and you smashed it, did you not?
Yes, after I was slammed on the ground, I did.
Okay. So you did all these things not out of anger, but you did them because you were hurt, right?
It got to a point where it was angry, but with the questions that you were asking me, was I infuriated about him saying things about Kayla or the other things you were asking me? That was out of hurt, but it did get to an angry point. Yes, it did.
And that's when he was following you outside and he was in your ear telling you that Kayla had a better body than you, right?
It was more than that. It was the bitch word, the fuck you, it was more than just about a female.
Okay. And isn't it true? Let's talk about the B word. You were calling him a broke bitch. You were screaming at him out there on the front lawn, were you not?
After he started calling me one first, yeah, I was.
So you called him a broke bitch. What did you mean by that? That he has no money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So why was that important? Why the fact that he had no money? Why was that something that was important to you at that point?
It wasn't important to me because I was still dealing with him when he didn't have money.
Okay. But why was that important at that point when you're being
Because he's saying low blows to hurt my feelings, so as a reaction as a human, I'm going to say low blows to hurt his feelings.
So you were pretty fired up at this point, right?
I wasn't really that fired up, but I was upset and I was reacting to what he was saying to me at that point, yes.
You testified yesterday before this jury that he compared me to other women. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So besides Kayla, who else did he compare you to?
It was just, I can't pinpoint names or anything like that. I don't really remember. It was just a lot of different names of who I am, what I am,
Okay.
and things like that.
And that set you off, right?
Didn't set me off. I wanted to go. It was ready. It was time for me to go. It was just getting too heated.
All right. Well, you saying now you wanted to go, but didn't you tell the jury yesterday? Then Travis said, "Get the F out of my house." Do you remember telling the jury that yesterday?